Hello, everyone out there on the Less is More Sports Talk Network. It's me, Matt, in my house, here to talk about NBA trades and an unrelated rant at the end because what would you expect from me? So, three basic parts we're going to go over in this video. First, reaction to the Kyrie Irving move. Two, not mock trades like Les, his favorite rumors. I'm talking more about teams, I think, from my angle on this. And then, like I said, third, a slightly unrelated rant that has nothing to do with any basketball that we'll be talking about today. So let's get started with our first topic, the Kyrie Irving trade. Now, the initial thought I had about this move when it first came out, or they first announced it, was this is like a baseball trade deadline move. This is a win now, get into the playoff picture, make noise in the playoff picture type move. You got a guy on an expiring deal. You're basically trading future prospects for Kyrie Irving long down the line. I mean, I think it was a 2029 first round, second round pick. That's, believe it or not, that's still 6 years away. Oh my God. The point being, it proves that if you're Dallas, that you're in a win now type move. You can take down that mural now that says get Luka help because guess what? You got him some help. And they already had the Christian Wood move earlier in the offseason, which was, an okay move. But I always thought Dallas would want to do more. Mark Cuban is a spend first, ask questions later type guy. I mean, he's on Shark Tank. So seeing him make this move wasn't really a surprise to me. I mean, it did surprise me because I thought everyone and their brother thought Kyrie was going to LA for, I don't know, a shipping container full of packing peanuts and some Dogecoin because they played the crypto arena, I guess. But that didn't happen. So what it shows me is that Dallas is very much all in on getting Luka Doncic, a consistent other scorer, to go with him. It also shows me I don't think they're done making some moves. They still have Tim Hardaway Jr. They could still move Christian Wood for some reason. We'll just have to see where they go. Because like I said, Mark Cuban is a spend first, ask questions later type guy. Heck, they could even trade Bertrands for something. But I do see a couple of possible downgrades with the move. The first being, getting rid of Spencer Dinwiddie, that's okay. I mean, Kyrie's better than Spencer Dinwiddie, and they'll do similar things. The area I see where this is going to maybe not pan out great this season especially is the defensive area. Giving up Dorian Finney-Smith was a big move, bigger than you think. I mean, he's not a household name, but that guy can defend four positions out of four. He's very good at defense, and Dallas is going to take a little bit of a step back, I think, when it comes to defense just by giving up DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith. I think that's probably the most impactful move, even more so than the draft picks, because God only knows what that's going to look like in 2029. I think that's even more impactful than moving around those draft picks, is getting rid of Dorian Finney-Smith in terms of the immediate impact. The second thing, of course, is the Kyrie contract situation. He denied the Nets when they offered him like their super duper max contract. Will that happen again in Dallas? And it's a fair question to ask. He says he's excited to join right now, but it's like one of those memes with the cycle. I'm excited to join a team. I come and play very well. I encounter controversy. I demand a trade. Cycle repeats. And it's going to be interesting to see whether that occurs once again with just half a season in Dallas. But I think Dallas, this is a necessary move. This is a win-now move. The Western Conference is more wide open than it's been in a long time. And we say that every year, but last year we had the Warriors resurgence. They had been there. They were a dynasty. We have the Lakers, but the Lakers and the Warriors are both old. The Nuggets haven't proved anything yet. The Grizzlies, the Pelicans, they haven't proved anything yet. The Spurs, the Lakers, the Warriors of old, they're all gone. So this is a wide open chance to try and win the Western Conference and get into the finals and see what happens. So I don't think that this is a stupid move for Dallas yet. Now, in 5 years, with the gift of hindsight, we'll probably be able to be like, oh, that was one of the dumbest trades in NBA history, of course. But right now, when the Western Conference is this open, and you have a transcendent player like Luka Doncic, you need to make something happen. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not done, if they are not done. Yeah, like I said, still got Tim Hardaway Jr., still got a couple pieces, especially if you move Christian Wood, that people might be interested in. So I think this was a good move for Dallas. It's a win-now move for Dallas, and we don't fault Major League Baseball teams for doing that right now. It is hard to get out of a bad NBA trade, I'm not going to lie. If this thing goes belly up, it's going to affect the Dallas Mavericks going a long way forward. But for the time being, as a win now move, with them playing 0 games together so far, I'm going to say that Dallas needed to make this move. It was a very necessary move. And that's the bottom line, because when you have a conference this wide open, you've got a transcendent player, you've got a guy like Kyrie who even though he hasn't wanted to be, has been a Robin, to very good Batman on several teams. You got to get another guy like that in there to support your guy. And like I said, the Western Conference is this wide open. Which brings me to part number 2 of my little video here, which is the trade deadline. I don't really think the biggest name, that I think is going to get moved may be Pascal Siakam. But the Raptors are the most interesting team at the NBA trade deadline. And here's why. They're one of the few teams that has good players, championship experienced players, who is selling. There aren't a lot of sellers at this NBA trade deadline. And that is one way that the play-in tournament, even though I'm still kind of iffy on it, has paid off very well. Heck, the Pacers were supposed to be in a full-on rebuild. The Wembanyama sweepstakes, my bad. And now they have Tyrese Halliburton starting the NBA All-Star Game and are trying to decide whether or not they want to add a piece or two to play for that play-in tournament. It's crazy. It is crazy. I have to fully admit that. But Toronto is one of those few teams that appears to be willing to sell off their assets, and these are some pretty big assets. In fact, I would even go as far as to theorize that the fate of the Western Conference may go through the Toronto Raptors, which is incredibly weird to say, but in this situation, there are at least 3 or 4 guys on that Toronto roster that I think could tip the NBA on its head, potentially. Now I'm going to start with the first one, and I swear this isn't my IU homerism coming out. Les can say that all he wants, but we all know what's going on up here. With me, I don't do this a lot, but I'm going to start with OG Anunoby. 6'7", 6'8" wing. And news is there's a huge bidding war going on between the Pelicans and the Grizzlies over his services. And this is a big move to me. It may not seem like it. OG Anunoby is not an NBA All-Star type. He's not a household name. But if you could add a guy like that, a wing with that kind of length, who can score, to a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, a very defensive, the heart and hustle type team, give Ja Morant another guy to play with, and make it through that Steven Adams injury, that team has a very good starting 5. No doubt about it. You have Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Anunoby, Ja Morant, Steven Adams, and Jaren Jackson Jr., the guy who's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, I bet, right now. That's a very good team. That team can win the Western Conference with an extra guy to score. You could easily say the same thing about the New Orleans Pelicans, assuming they're all healthy. C.J. McCollum, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, and OG Anunoby. That's a pretty good starting 5, too. There's a lot of scoring there. There's enough defense there. That team could also win the Western Conference if they stay healthy. And it's even crazier to assume from the Pelicans' perspective, if they keep Herb Jones or something, and only have to give up Dyson Daniels, that would be a huge W. An extremely common Zion Williamson W for the New Orleans Pelicans. And I honestly think if either one of those teams, whether it be Memphis or New Orleans, gets him, that team is going to be scary, dangerous come the playoff time. Because you've got 5 guys there, you've got a scorer, you've got defensive guys, you've got young guys who are looking to prove it. That's going to be a very scary-looking team. Moving on with Toronto, there's Fred VanVleet. And Fred VanVleet would be a great prize for any team who's trying to just expand their shooting, get a good, consistent guard who's been there. And, the team surrounding him, I have to look at this list because this is amazing. If he goes to the Clippers, for one, the Clippers would just be... We've seen what happens when you get a healthy Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs. And if you give him Fred VanVleet and Paul George to go with him, playoff P may reinvent himself as a playoff legend if that happens. Because you'll have a guy out on the perimeter who can score. So that would be interesting. Fred VanVleet going to Miami is somewhat intriguing, but I don't think that Kyle Lowry having a reunion there is going to be enough to get it done. I really don't. But Fred VanVleet is another guy who, if he goes to the right situation, whether it be like the Clippers or the Nets now. Our poor beloved Nets who are now Kyrie Irvingless. He could team up with Kevin Durant there, and it could be something very impressive happening in the. Sorry, my computer acted up. It'd be very interesting to see what would happen in Brooklyn when that happens. And then, of course, there's the big prize. The big guy I think could get moved, Pascal Siakam. Spicy P, all-star, NBA champion, up-and-coming young star. I mean, if you're the Nets, you got to take a flyer. If you're anybody and you could get a chance at Pascal Siakam, I would definitely take that chance if he came at the right price, no doubt. Now, will he be the hardest one to move? Yes, because he's worth probably the most. But like I said, the Western Conference, I feel like, hinges on the decisions of the Toronto Raptors and Masai Ujiri. Because if you get OG Anunoby, if you get a Pascal Siakam, if you get a Fred VanVleet, and you've already got one hell of a solid roster, that is more than enough to tip you over the edge in a wide open and unproven Western Conference. So moving on now from the Toronto Raptors, the team who may decide the NBA Western Conference from their last place positions in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to talk about the team everyone wants to discuss, the team where everyone and their brother is going to, the LA Lakers. Lakers fans, you've already been playing on borrowed time for a long time. You got the championship in 2020, which, yes, even though it's very circumstantial, still counts because you still have to get everybody there, everybody healthy, and play through all that emotional and physical turmoil to get that championship. I'm sorry, Mickey Mouse ring lovers. That's just my opinion. But you've got to get out of this mindset, Laker fans, that you're going to get the biggest names on the market. Like I said with the Kyrie Irving trade, this is an example of a win-now move that can affect the future. It's just hard to get out of an NBA trade. And when you got Anthony Davis for all those picks, yes, it was worth it. The championship is there, but now you're dealing a little bit with the coming out of that and the Westbrook move. You're dealing with the repercussions of what comes when you win a championship via trade, or even try to re-win a championship via trade with the Russell Westbrook trade. So Lakers, I'm not going to go on here and say, oh yeah, you're getting Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, you're getting Kyle Kuzma back, you're getting XYZ. I'm going to encourage you to be happy with the guys who I think the Lakers can get, which are guys like Mo Bamba. I think that would be a good move for the Lakers, help solidify that backcourt with Bryant. Make sure if Anthony Davis hurts himself again, you're ready to go. Or Bogdanovic from the Pistons. I think that would be a very good move for the Lakers to make. Spacing, good defense, flooring, decent defense. Okay, I can't kid myself there. But he gives you what you need, which is shooting. Or even a possible reunion with Alex Caruso. You're not getting Zach LaVine. I'm sorry. Zach LaVine is not being traded. He's not walking through that door the same way Kyle Kuzma isn't. But reuniting with Alex Caruso, that could be something big. And getting Bogdanovic. And maybe getting a Mo Bamba in addition for Rui Hachimura. That could be the moves that at least get you in a good position to hit the play-in tournament. But you're not going to get any superstars. You're not going to get anybody young for a couple first-round picks. And I don't even know if there's a young player that anybody would even want other than Hachimura. And they're going to keep him in LA for a long time. But it's worth it, I think, because it's just been such a wild ride through the bubble year, through us being about, 36 points away from LeBron breaking the scoring record. And it's all going to happen in a Laker uniform. So, take the lumps. Enjoy the minor moves that will give you exciting, interesting players for LeBron to play with. And just look to the future because it's going to get a lot better. It'll get worse before it gets better, don't get me wrong. But it's going to get better, Lakers fans. I know I feel awful telling Lakers fans, you're going to be okay. Like I'm coddling one of the 5-year-olds I work with. But, no, don't worry about it, LA. It's going to be a long haul, but you're going to get through it. It's going to be fine. And another team, I mentioned them a little bit earlier that I'm interested in watching, is the Clippers. I feel like the Clippers are a few moves away from being, really scary good because they do have Kawhi Leonard. They do have some playoff experience. And like I said, if you get Fred VanVleet in there, that's a good move. If you could even get, Kyle Lowry from Miami at, just a dirt cheap price, that would be a very good move. Or, one I'm seeing float around that I really have grown to like is Terry Rozier. Getting him out of Charlotte and into a Clippers uniform, I think would be a great move too, because you have all the pieces there. You've got the depth. You've got a lot of really good guys. And if you don't have to give up Terrence Mann, I mean, you give up Luke Kennard in a heartbeat. I'm sorry. But if you can keep Terrence Mann, that would be a really important, impactful move if you could just get him, if you could just trade Luke Kennard for, like, I don't know, Terry Rozier in a first round pick and then just get Kyle Lowry for, like, nothing. I don't think Pat Riley will let that happen, but it would be nice if he did, just because it would be fun to say. So the Clippers are another team I'm incredibly interested to see what's going to happen there, because I feel like they could make some pretty under the radar moves and just come out of nowhere. I mean, to surprise a lot of people. And there's one other player I want to get a mention to, because I don't think he's been talked about enough, who I think could make a big impact move, and that's Bones Highland out of VCU on the current Denver Nuggets. I think that's a dude who could get out there. He's in the trade deadline, help the Nuggets, and help somebody else get a very good guard. I mean, you don't hear about him a lot. He's very young. He could be a guy who blooms into an all-star potentially. And he could be a guy who right now helps Denver get some defensive depth behind Nikola Jokic, get some defensive depth on the front line at all. And would be a low risk, high reward type player. I mean, if he goes to Charlotte for like a Mason Plumlee, I think that could be an interesting move. If he goes to Minnesota, they're desperate over there. That would be an interesting move. So yeah, Bones Highland, just going to give him a shout out. I think he's a great young player. I think that he's going to get dealt, and whoever gets him is going to get a diamond in the rough. And I'm just going to be impressed to see where he goes and who gets him, what they give up for him, and how Denver improves. Because we always hear about Denver. It's kind of like the Peyton Manning narrative. Get to the playoffs and absolutely lay an egg. And with Nikola Jokic, who is just a transcendent basketball player, that can't happen every year. That can't happen. So I'm going to be very interested to see the kind of market return that Bones Highland gets. Because he's going to get traded. He's going to get moved. And if he gets the right package to come back to Denver with him, Denver could go on a deep run. Like I said, it's one of the benefits of having a wide open Western Conference this year. Without any Lakers, without any Warriors, and you hate to see it because Steph Curry's hurt. But now you have so many young teams who are usually not in it. I mean, New Orleans, Denver, Memphis, we don't really think of them as the glamour franchises of the league. But here they are a couple days out from the NBA trade deadline with big decisions to be made that could impact NBA history. And it's fascinating to me to see that because, in the Eastern Conference, we've got Milwaukee, we've got Boston, we've got the 76ers. We pretty much know who the teams who are going to be there at the end of the day are. And in the West, I can't tell you right now. The Kings could make a run, for God's sake. I mean, I think they're good enough. So it'll be interesting to see who makes the moves to come out of the Western Conference and see who's going to come out as the top dog. So that's what I'm really looking forward to on the NBA trade deadline, is the fact we've got non-glamorous franchises who have built through drafts previously now looking to make their step up. And it's going to be interesting to see the domino effects that fall across the NBA. So happy trade deadline day on Thursday. It's Tuesday right now. But you know what? It's going to be fun. And now to end the video, a brief unrelated rant about something that happened this weekend. Folks, can we just agree to end the Pro Bowl? Please, the Pro Bowl games, they're one thing. They're fun. They're cute. But that flag football game was damn near unwatchable. It doesn't look like football. It doesn't feel like football. It just feels like, here's all of our sports media personalities. Here's Peyton Manning. Here's Eli Manning. We got Pat McAfee. We got Kirk Herbstreit. Michael Irving's here. Snoop Dogg is coaching. The bottom line is, you just can't do what the NBA, the NHL, and MLB do with their all-star games. You can't have it in the middle of the year. You can't play a full contact game because football is just way too freaking physical. You just can't. The Pro Bowl games can stay. They're fine. They're fun. But they need to do it like they do the NBA dunk contest and stuff. Invite people. Have the Pro Bowl be like an actual honor instead of just something that, people either do or don't get. I mean, it's hard to judge someone's career now in this era based on Pro Bowls. It really is, because when you look at it, Tyler Huntley is going to have a Pro Bowl. There are just guys who you kind of scratch your head having a Pro Bowl because somebody got hurt, somebody didn't want to go. So I think the Pro Bowl team should still be a thing. It should be more official because it's more conference based than all pro. Call that the conference all pros or something. It's the conference all stars already. They're like the all pros. And just do that, please. You can do the NBA, you can do the NFL games or whatever. You can have the catch contest. That was cool. You can have Brian Burns go full Spider-Man on a wall. That's cool. But just do away with the game. There's just no point. Even a football-starved audience, I don't think, wants to watch a bunch of dudes play flag football and Peyton Manning yelling at the TV. I mean, that I may be in a minority here, but I just am not intrigued by that, folks. So, Pro Bowl, make it more of an official thing. Just have fun with it. Do the catch contest, but just don't play flag football. Not just for ratings and celebrity. It just doesn't work. It just does not make any sense. And I can't see many more people watching that in the era of streaming, in the era where you can watch literally anything you want at your fingertips, being like, you know what, I'm going to watch some flag football because Peyton Manning is wearing a visor. Just doesn't pan out here in my head. And so that concludes our little video here. Thoughts on the Kyrie Irving trade, talking about how the Toronto Raptors could decide the NBA West, and why the NFL needs to make the Pro Bowl either an official thing or just can it altogether. Les and I will be back next week with Super Bowl stuff, probably, because that should be a fun game that will be decided in the trenches. I'm going to say that 50 billion times so that way Les can't claim that I never said it. So, we're going to move on from that. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching if you watched this far. Have a great day, and remember to keep your eyes on the trade deadline ticker. Goodbye.